Welcome back. So, as you can see from the title and thumbnail, unless you're blind and just clicked on the video randomly, this is my best rating ever, actually, at the rating of 2040, a whole 2 points above my last rating of 2038 6 months ago on January the 18th, I believe. So, this is the game that got me to it. I'm pretty ecstatic right now. So let's get into it. I go with d4, my opening, and the Trepowski. My opponent plays g6, which is a line that I love playing after takes, and e3. And the idea is basically, I'm going to get my bishop fianchettoed over here. Oh, wow. What is going on with the mouse? I'm going to get my bishop fianchettoed over here and bring out my pieces like this. Oh my gosh, what is going on? My mouse is kind of breaking for some reason. Anyway, yeah, bishop like this, castle. It's gonna snipe on that diagonal, this diagonal, and my opponent will try to block it like this, and then I will try, well, not like that, not with the bishop. The bishop's on that diagonal, and then I'm gonna try and give him an isolated d pawn and try to win the game while he does his bishop like this and castles and does all the normal stuff. So anyway, my opponent goes for d6. Which I already know is a bad move because it's not in my theory. What I thought, okay, I'll play normally. My opponent's probably going to go for this and f5 and then play the normal ideas. So I just play g3, which is the whole purpose, and my opponent does go for this. Castles, 92, and he goes for c5, which I know is also a bad idea. And I'm thinking here, right? And I'm calculating this first of all. This idea with my bishop just getting open, but then I'm like, I don't really like the pressure down on this diagonal. Maybe I should keep the position a little more locked. I mean, he has the bishop pair, I have the knights. I should try to do something with that. So instead of taking, I just simply castled, which turns out to be the best move. And actually, if I took here, I would lose a slight bit of my advantage. But either way, I castle, f5, and I go c3, which I think is a mistake. I think if I was going to move my c-pawn, I should play c4 instead. And this is because a lot of the time in these positions, the knight comes to c3, and I can open this up and keep my diagonal open. And this knight is going to try and come over here, and this knight on c3 will stop these infiltration spots. So that's why c4 is better. Played c3, which is reasonable, but c4 is slightly better. What the computer wants is just here, which I don't think I would ever play, because the themes of this position do not call for the knight to be in front of the c-pawn. Like, my c-pawn is gonna move in like every line, so I was very confused, but the computer just thinks I get this outpost on d5 and I'm much better. Either way, I go c3 and I play c4, realizing my mistake of not playing c4 in the first place. Glad I play this move. This is the top engine move. It's complicated, but the idea is I see the knight coming over here, and he's going over here. Gonna go for these simple ideas, so I need the knight on c3. So I go c4. I play knight c3. My opponent goes here, mostly to try and stop the pin of the pawn, but also maybe he's gonna push b5. He goes a6, and I play a4, stopping the b5 idea, and he goes queen a5. And I know this is just wrong. This has to be wrong, right? He has nothing. This is just a terrible, terrible move. His queen is on the outskirts of the board doing God knows what, and it's just, I feel like I'm just so much better here. I just feel it in my bones. So I go knight d5, putting my knight on like a very active square. I might be threatening to go knight e7 at some point, maybe knight f6 at some point. Well, if it wasn't controlled by two pieces, but you know, it's just very complicated stuff. My opponent goes rook e8, which gets an inaccuracy by the computer, and the move here actually makes a lot of sense, but it's very hard to find. You can pause here to try and find it. It's an incredible move that gives me a slight advantage, but it's the way to play. Anyway, the idea is to play, no, not there, b4, which is insane. Because after it takes, I mean, I thought, oh, I'm just giving up a pawn, but of course I have these queen b3 ideas, and I'm just going to win the pawn back. Like, of course I would win the pawn back. And the idea is just so incredible. I'm just saying that, what does my opponent play? His queen is locked out on like the front porch on like the front porch or something, and my knight's going to come in like this. I might play h4 at some point. Queen here, rook's here, all the way through the queen side. I'm winning. I'm like much better. But this is just, this is inhuman. I mean, I wouldn't find this move in any game. So I don't find b4. I instead play knight dc3, which loses like all my advantage, but it's fine. It brings my other knight into the game, and it's okay. If you look in the lines here, the lines b4 is very natural. b4 comes a lot, so I think that's why I have the advantage here. And because I don't find it, I think my position isn't really 0.6. It's more like plus 0.3 instead of 0.6. So anyway, my opponent goes knight f6, and I'm totally fine with trading. I keep my piece alive. Like b4 is the best move again, but instead I play h4 with the simple idea. I'm gonna push this pawn. After the knight moves, of course, I'm gonna push this pawn, and then I might, if he takes, of course, I get my pieces out. His king sucks, and I'm trying to push it all the way to h6 at some point. He takes, and plays bishop e6, and now I play h5, which is a mistake. What I should have done instead of this, I should have, again, played b4, but if I haven't seen that, I have to play dc, and then after, for example, takes, try not to give himself an isolated pawn. What does the engine say? It says something, I just gotta bring my queen out and put a rook on the d file. Okay, that makes sense. I could probably find that. Instead, I go for the h5, which now the position is equal. My opponent does not find the right way. Of course, you have to take the knight here. The knight is incredible. He doesn't, and he brings his queen back, knowing that his queen is doing absolutely nothing on the a5 square. And now I go rook e1 because I don't know what to do. There's nothing behind this move. I'm like, okay, I might develop a rook. I don't know. There's like nothing, no thoughts behind this move. I couldn't explain it to you. I'm just trying to develop my pieces, and I have nothing else to do. So my opponent now plays b5, and the way to win here is with c takes b5, and eventually, well, the c takes b5 and actually making a passed pawn here, and then I'm just slightly better, and I have a decent advantage for the rest of the game because my bishop will always be controlling the a8 square. But instead of doing that, I take with the a pawn because I'm like, okay, I'm opening up my rook. This can't be bad. Takes, and I put my rook on a7, which is dangerous. I'm sacking the b2 pawn because I get a lot of like development. I might get something over here. I might get some knight move here. I might be able to, when my knight moves, I might be able to play rook a8 and try to get the queen off. A lot of things are here, a lot of things. My opponent obliges with my pawn sacrifice and takes on b2. Just the right way to do it. And I go queen c1, which gets a mistake, but actually the higher level engine doesn't care at all. Apparently dc, and I get a very, very slight advantage. dc, and then maybe queen a4, and it's interesting. The idea of queen c1 is basically just to hit the rook, kick it back, and then maybe I can get something out of it. Maybe I can bring my queen over to a3 up like this. Maybe I can get something going on the c7 square with my knight. So my opponent goes queen a8, and the best move here is a tactic. It's interesting. It's rook a8, which is very nice because here I have this check, takes, and rook back, and this position is incredible. It's very, very dense here. I have a queen for a rook and a bishop, but my opponent has 2 extra pawns. Well, it's gonna have 2 extra pawns because this pawn is gonna fall, but it's just a very, very strange position. I wasn't really looking at that, in all honesty. I was mostly looking at the move that I played, which is knight c7, which is a big mistake. The move that I would have found, the second best move I probably would have found if I had calculated it longer, is knight e7, because of course my opponent can't take because of rook a8. And this actually gets to the same position that was in that game. I mean, in the other line. So this is interesting. I probably should have found this. But it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I go knight c7, and I'm losing. Rook c8, and I mean, it looks quite bad, but actually, the best move here is queen a7. And you'd think, what? Queen a7? How is that anything? Oh my gosh. Queen a7, you monster. I take the rook. I'm going to take the rook. I have pressure here. I'm going to attacking the bishop. I'm going to win the game, probably, most likely. And this rook is also hanging. But unfortunately for me, this loses due to queen a2. And now I have to be passive. I have to bring a rook to f1, most likely. I have to, well, I just have to kind of try and survive. Actually, if I bring a rook to f1, he has this, right? This, queen b1, and rook takes f2. Stupid engine lines. I'm not going to go down all the paths. Either way, he goes here. My advantage is back. Rook a8 is the only move to keep equality. And of course, takes I'd be fine with. I mean, I'd be very happy with that. But my opponent instead takes the knight, which is a massive blunder, which gives me the win after rook takes, queen takes, and queen takes b2. And now I am just up 1 point of material. I'm up an exchange, and he has an extra pawn. So my opponent takes on d4, and before taking back, I play rook c1. Little intermezzo here. Of course, if he recaptures with the discovered attack on the queen, I can take with check. So he can't go for that. My opponent goes queen d8, takes, and h6, which is quite strange. I don't know why he plays that, because after takes there, I have rook e1, which is what I played in the game. And the idea is that I'm going to snipe down this line. The bishop's going to move somewhere, probably not there, probably like here. And then I'd have like decent prospect. I played like, I don't know, queen b4. And I'm just winning. I'm just up material. I'm going to win the game, right? So I go rook e1, and he goes queen f6, and he blunders the fact that queen b8, I'm going to pick up this pawn. Now, the way to not blunder that is, of course, to, instead of going king h7, play bishop f8 like a normal person, but my opponent has shown many times that he is not very normal. If he played this, I would probably go d5 or something and try to win, but it's still complicated here. It's very drawish in some lines. He goes king h7, I just take the pawn. He goes bishop f7 because it's the only move to save his bishop. He can also move his bishop, but like to b3 or a3 or here, but like this is the most normal square. So he goes here, takes, queen trade, and now my pawn just goes. This is over. This is just resignable. I'm up 4 points on the valuation bar. This is just completely winning for white. And the fact of the matter is that his king can't come over to stop it because the rook guards this file, and the king is just cut off permanently. So my opponent goes g5. I keep pushing. King g6. I keep pushing. I'm not even spending time anymore. My opponent goes here, and I, of course, play the move rook e8. My opponent resigns because either you take and I make a queen, or you move this bishop and I make a queen. So that was a very nice win, and it brings me to 2040. Let's reiterate the game. So it was a line that I very much appreciated, where my opponent played kind of strange with this c5. I made a couple mistakes with c3, and I quickly correct myself. Rook b1 to get out of the pin, and I just stopped the idea of b5 permanently. He put his queen on a strange square. I'm able to bring my knight into the center. Rook there, and I play the wrong move. b4 is this incredible engine line, but whatever. And I play h5 because I don't know what to do. Takes, h5, and rook e1 because of course I've kind of run out of moves here. He goes b5, and I miss the fact that I can make a passer and almost like win the game. So instead, I just take and sack my b2 pawn. My opponent obliges, and I make a couple mistakes in a row, but my opponent does not see the way forward, and I'm able to win an exchange. And then I'm quickly able to win a pawn, trade queens, and promote my pawn with the victory. Oh, and there's the fan. Well, luckily that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like if you haven't, because that actually really does help. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you found this instructive. Good evening and good night.